Let us investigate the journey of a light emitting diode to draw some lesson about what it takes to turn an idea into a success story. Right after the invention of tungsten filament-based lamp by Thomas Alva Edison, British scientists demonstrated the idea of producing light from the emission of solid-state crystal activated by electricity. But the light produced by the crystal was very tiny and was not in a position to be substitute to the light being produced by the filament lamp. Though filament lamp was highly unreliable and it was wasting large amount of energy. Scientists kept investigating the underlying science of producing more light and better quality light from solid state crystal. Particularly in the 1920s and 1930s, Russian scientists made significant progress of knowing underlying scientific phenomenon to figure out better ways of producing light from solid state crystal. But still it was not up to a level where it could be used in practical purposes. The journey kept progressing and it was complemented by the growth of the semiconductor processing technology, particularly in 1950s and 1960s. Then in 1960s, technologists were successful of using the science of producing light from solid state material into light emitting diode. But still that light emitting diode was not producing enough light for being substitute to filament lamp or the fluorescent lamp. So what the application that light emitting diode could be used? They found that it could have been used for an indicator of instruments. And they also found that light emitting diode could be a solution of producing small numeric displays. So that was the beginning of the application of light emitting diode in practical purposes. But commercial interest saw far larger potential of exploiting this idea to make light emitting diode a strong substitute to filament lamp or fluorescent lamp. But there was a problem. The problem is that in order to produce white light, they needed three kinds of LEDs: green, blue, and red. It happens to be the progression of science and technology was reasonably good enough to produce red LED and green LED. But the problem was with the blue. They were struggling to figure out how to produce LED to have a very sharp blue light. And it got stuck, particularly in 70s and 80s. They're very close to come up with LED lighting as a disruptive force to the filament and also the fluorescent lamp industry. But the blue LED was a problem. A small company in Japan, it was in a business of chemicals to support the production of light emitting diodes. So that company saw if light emitting diode grows as a strong substitute to fluorescent and filament lamp, then his business or its business in chemical would rapidly grow. But the problem was the blue. Then the company aggressively pursued some scientific research even with partnership with the universities. Then eventually, scientists in Japan got the understanding that why were they failing to produce sharp blue light? It was because of the presence of hydrogen in the junction of producing light, and that was making the light blur. Then they also succeeded of developing a very cheap or very easily applicable technique of removing the hydrogen. And that led to the eventual goal of having a very bright LED light. Then they combined those three LEDs, that is red, green, and blue, to produce sharp white light. And that opened the opportunity of innovating LED light bulbs as a disruptive force to the filament and fluorescent lamp. Here is an economic reason, that is fluorescent and filament, they waste significant amount of energy to produce light. On the other hand, LED was far more efficient. It, it wastes far less energy than those two incumbent sources of light. And then the engineering and the technology became very serious to fine tune that scientific invention in succeeding to produce better LED lights at lower cost. And that kept growing. Eventually, LED light became a disruptive force to the tungsten and filament and also the fluorescent lamp. As a result, it created quite a large new industry, quite a large profitable business for the companies who pursued LED lighting. And moreover, it saved a huge amount of energy that is a blessing for the humanity. So here is a lesson that some of the ideas even may take more than 100 years to grow as a strong substitute to existing products to offer the humanity better solution at lower cost. And it may require significant scientific journey to complement the initial idea or nurture the initial idea with a flow of knowledge, with flow of ideas, so that eventually the latent potential of great idea succeeds to commercial success story. It is worth mentioning that scientists who discovered the presence of hydrogen as a barrier to produce blue light were given Nobel Prize. That means even Nobel Prize winning what the scientific research might be required to pursue a commercial potential, making it a great success story. And that's the place science engineering should be strongly linked with the journey of turning the latent potential of ideas into commercial success story. Developing countries who have the aspiration of benefiting from innovation economy, of benefiting from idea, of benefiting from science and engineering should look into this lesson. They should figure out how to integrate these three elements, that is idea of producing a remarkably better substitute, then science and engineering, then the commercial perspective. And integration of these three elements is vital in developing policies, in sponsoring scientific research, and pursuing commercial interest. Thank you very much.